lot of people, they're scared to be alone. So they rather stick with, what they have or what their current situation is than be alone and start over, which I think a lot of times too, in our culture, we kind of let a lot of behaviors slide, certain behaviors. And a lot of times, in my personal experience, I've seen women like try to go back home and, cry to their parents, but their parents are like, this is the person you chose. This is who you wanted to be with. Go and work it out. So I think it's the lack of support. And like Trudy was saying, it's just a lack of self-worth. I think a lot of times too, especially with mental health, if someone is constantly beating you down and constantly telling you you're not worth anything, eventually you're going to believe that. So a lot of times mental health plays into it, because then then you start believing like, oh, I'm not worth it. I'm not worth leaving and, having a better life, or just being told, you're not going to find anybody better than me. A lot of times that comes into play. But I think as far as like the men in the situation, because I don't necessarily think I don't think it's always how they're brought up, because sometimes like I've seen men who come from, from a great family, who have good parents, who still turn out to, be a narcissist and still beat on their wives. I honestly think it's just a personal thing, or I think it's like a learned behavior. But I don't know. I think it happens too much in our community, and I think because people don't. Another thing too is like a lot of people don't intervene. They kind of just sit back and let it happen, and I think a lot of times that can also be an issue. But like Trudy said, it ultimately comes down to that person that's in the relationship. If you don't, if you don't find the help, or you don't find a way to get out, it doesn't really matter if someone else is going to intervene, because you're still going to go back to that person at the end of the day. So it's kind of just a fucked up situation, I guess.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. But also, I mean, that's why I always say, yeah, you gotta look beyond the surface, because a lot of times families, look happy on the outside, but you don't know what's going on behind closed doors.
Yeah.
So obviously there's a men who are violently abusing their partners. Something's wrong with them, and I believe it has to come with their experience of growing up, or whatever they experience with their childhood trauma, or the how they were raised as being men. And of course, the men who do abuse their relationships, like they put a lot of effort in hiding it. So
Yeah.
in public, because obviously they don't want nobody to know. So